Well, I'm starting a podcast. Yes, the time has finally arrived. I've had this idea for many, many years in terms of starting a podcast. I just didn't know what it was going to be about. I never really took the steps to get it going, right? So I finally landed on the podcast of my dreams, of my visions, and my goals, and I am determined to make it happen. I am not in a rush to get all of it done at once, but there is a sense of urgency to get the ball rolling and get it started and eventually launched out to the public. Now, why am I filming this video? I just want to, document my journey through this whole process, how I got it set up, what it's going to be about, why I'm doing it, the costs, and just simplify this whole process for anyone else out there that is interested in doing a podcast, being on my podcast, having me on your podcast, or simply just, building community through this whole process. So let's get into why I'm starting this podcast. Now, if you've been following me on YouTube, social media, or if you know me personally, you know that I have a passion and a love for content creation, whether it's through film, editing, coming up with ideas, producing content, making funny content, all of that. I've experimented throughout the years, but nothing ever really stuck. And sometimes when I don't experience instant gratification, I tend to abandon those ideas without fully living in the unknown, or fully living in the scary zones of things, or fully living and embracing that this may never see financial gain ever. So throughout that process, I was reflecting on life and things I want to accomplish in this new season of my life, and with my business, and how I could pivot, and with everything happening with the economy right now and the real estate market. Everything is kind of shifting and taking somewhat of a downturn, or at least there's a long pause for stillness right now, and people are losing their jobs, people are financially struggling, and I am not exempt from any of those things. In terms of my business, this is definitely probably the slowest it's ever been, but that's the result of a couple of factors. One, I kind of took a backseat to transaction coordination in the last year. I just didn't find myself enjoying the work. I enjoy getting paid. I enjoy getting the job done, and I'm very good at it. I'm great at my job, and I just didn't feel challenged anymore. I didn't feel like I was making an impact or doing things to showcase my skills and my passions and my desires to accomplish my goals, and to see those things out, and to see my visions come into fruition. So I really have to do some inner work, a lot of inner work, and that all started with hiring a coach. And then I eventually joined a group coaching network. And both of those decisions have made massive changes for growth, for self-awareness, self-actualization, a lot of work that I've put in internally outside of the coaching, because of the accountability that it comes with, because of the tools and the resources that it comes with, and the conversation that it comes with. It's really shifted my perspective in terms of how I want to earn money in this next season of my life. Now, is it scary to see your bank account kind of halted, or not bringing in as much of a steady flow of income? Of course. It is absolutely terrifying. And I feel like if you are in that situation, but you have enough to just get by for a couple of months, do as much as you possibly can while you have that little bit of breathing room, but also have a bit of a deadline where if you're not making any money to survive the next couple of months after your reserves are finished, then we have to be honest and face and accept and maybe go after other options and ways to earn income. And I'm mostly talking to myself right now, and even getting that out, because the idea of working for yourself for almost 5 years and not having to report to anyone, not having to be on someone else's schedule, is why I do everything that I do, is to hold on to that lifestyle, this business, and the idea of having to go back to work. I don't know if it's necessarily shame or ego. It's shame and ego are factors for sure, but it's a lot. I think it's a combination of failure. It's a combination of I let things go, or that ultimately going back to work, yes, it would help me financially, but I fear that if I go get another job, it would take away from the time that I'm investing into other projects that I see as more fulfilling, and that can blossom into a much more prosperous and valuable asset to my life and to help impact others. Which is a huge reason why I'm making content, videos, YouTube, why I have now I have a podcast that I'm producing, why I'm putting myself out there and going to open houses and talking to realtors and having those uncomfortable conversations, even just with myself, like I am here on camera. All of these thoughts are live and real for me, because this just has to work. This needs to work. I need it to work. I still want to create from a place of joy and passion. So I don't want to make any decisions out of being desperate, or that I'm backed into a corner. So I'm continuing to learn how to take my time and be patient. And I want to explore all of these topics through the podcast, on my YouTube channel, and in my community, my TC community that I'm building out. All of these topics that we as humans go through every day, but not just venting about them, but creating solutions and strategies and ways to overcome them, or to fix our habits and reach people that we haven't been able to reach before, and have an impact as well there. The podcast is going to be all about, in its first, what I envision for the first go around of things. I don't know if I'm still debating if I want to do seasons or if I want to just keep it ongoing. I want to have consistency, but I also want to be realistic with my time and time management, because right now I'm a one-person show, a one-woman show. I'm recording, I'm downloading, editing, posting, scheduling, clipping, posting, captioning, just writing descriptions, writing blogs, writing the newsletters. I'm still running my transaction coordinator business. I'm still doing prospecting for that, email marketing, cold calling when I feel like it. I do not like cold calling. Going to open houses. So right now I'm doing all of this solo dolo, and I do have access to a virtual assistant, but I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to utilize her in this time. But right now, this first round of podcasts are going to start with just my journey into entrepreneurship, into real estate, into owning my own business, and how I got there, what I do. And then the next set of the next segment of podcasts I want to do are interviews. I'm going to interview a transaction coordinator in every state in the United States. And I eventually want to tap into other markets internationally and highlight especially women of color that are working in real estate. That is my ultimate goal, to highlight their journey, to hear how they got into real estate, money, talk about money, ultimately promote and educate people on real estate and finances and all of that, all of those things that go into sustaining our lives and mental health and all of that. So the podcast is one way of being able to project that idea to the world and for people to consume it in an easier manner versus with YouTube. Sometimes you have to stop what you're doing to watch something. And after reading Atomic Habits, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm constantly doing, not all the time, but for the most part, I'm constantly doing more than one thing at once, aka habit stacking. You know, if I'm listening to a podcast, I could still be working, have it in the background, you know, rewind where necessary, or I could speed up I could speed it up so I can listen to it faster and I can consume more content that way. But sometimes with YouTube, it demands your full attention, which I love. I appreciate everyone that's watching this right now, because it's not easy to step in front of a camera and just talk. I'm alone in my office right now and I'm just talking to a camera. I don't know who's going to see this, when they're going to see this, for how long they're going to see this. I'm already hitting the 12-minute mark and I'm still talking. But the podcast is important and it needs to happen. It's going to happen. And this is just the beginning of all of that going down.